Hey, I'm Giselle, and over the last 5 months, I have made plenty of builds on God of War Ragnarok, and I want to believe they were somewhat good. That said, they also have one thing in common: they have almost no vitality. Since my playstyle tends to be very aggressive, I often neglect having health. The downside is that I also just die in one hit.
You call yourself a god?
Which is fine for me, but it may not appeal to everybody. For that reason, I thought about the best build for casuals. I call it the second chances build. With this build, all you have to do is match to your heart's content. As long as you use this build, whether you get fired or dumped by your partner, one thing is for sure: you will always get back on your feet, for even when you lose, you always win. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, and if you loved it, well, consider subscribing. We are so close to 10k subscribers and you could make a difference. With that said, let's talk about second chances. This build is a better version of the rage build I made a while ago. This time, however, thanks to the new enchantments brought to us by New Game Plus, we are able to take it to the next level. The shield you want to use is the Stone Wall shield. The last thing you want is to have a seizure trying to deflect 10 swings in a row, simply because the devs got mad we bullied their beloved Berserkers. Do keep in mind that even though you do not have to parry, eventually the Stonewall shield is going to reach its maximum amount of charges, and when that happens, unless you parry the next yellow ring attack, it will break your guard and leave you open for a follow-up attack. But don't worry, you can always heal using the Valor Spartan Rage, and thanks to the Boon of Valor, not only will you get health back, but you also get a strength buff. And that's not the only enchantments granting us some strength, because we will be mindlessly swinging our blades or axe. Combo finishers will often increase our strength. On top of that, every time you return from rage, you will get a brief buff of strength, defense and runic. But wait, there is more. Every time you perform a parry, you get a buff of increasing strength. Now, let me ask you a question. How much strength is too much strength? Well, the answer is there is no such thing as too much strength, because there is more, so much more. Since you might be carelessly swinging, you might end up dead. I mean, not dead because thanks to the Crest of Desperate Heroics, a very fitting name by the way, whenever your health bar drops to a critical level, not only do you get a buff to strength, but you also receive an invincible barrier. While the barrier is active, you can't die or be staggered, so you might want to double down on the swinging. But I know what you're thinking. What happens when your barrier eventually runs out? Well, like I told you, even when you lose, you always win. Thanks to Spaulders of Courage, our melee damage is increased based on our rage. That's why I'm using the Jötunheim enchantment set, which increases our maximum rage even further based on our vitality. But that's not all. That chest armor specifically also transforms your rage bar into an actual health bar. I was not lying when I named this the second chances build. And since you will most likely be hitting enemies while they are desperately trying to understand why you simply won't die, we use Surtr's Engraving and did bonus damage to enemies whenever we hit them while they are performing their attacks. But let's be honest, even with all those safety measures, you may still end up dead. That's when you should use your Resurrection Stone, specifically this Berserker Stone, which gives you full rage upon revival. Since your damage is tied to your rage, which is tied to your healing, having more rage is the better call. And then I decided to use Surtr's Scorched Girdle to further decrease the damage you receive while attacking. Overall, this is a pretty solid build, both offensively and defensively, and in case you are caught blocking for a while, thanks to the Rönd of Fortification, you will be able to release a high stun explosion on your next block or shield strike. When it comes to the Relic, honestly you could go with whatever you feel comfortable with. That said, I highly suggest the Hilt of Skofnung, since it's absolutely busted, and also because we are using the Berserker Gauntlets, which might replenish our cooldown, already cooldown with successful hits. Hear me out, the craziest thing about Skofnung is that each hit dealt by the Relic will restore its own cooldown. That's what you call an independent Relic. It doesn't need you to be whole. At the moment, I am working on a video where I go against each Berserker using one specific build, and the second chances build worked perfectly against this arsehole, because not only does he summon minions, but someone thought it was a good idea to make them stagger resistant while spawning. Guess what? It does not matter, since we don't care about getting hit. This build worked like a charm, and I then tried my luck with the notorious and newly buffed Valkyrie Queen Gna, and I'm happy to report that Gna unfortunately does not do well with second chances. So there you have it, a solid build which rewards you for playing aggressively while making sure that you don't pay the price for not being perfect. And lastly, listen, this video is quite different from the ones I've made in the past, so be sure to give me some feedback as I aspire to improve on the content delivery side. And also keep in mind that for every single build video, the build will be included in the description. I'm Jiso, and I hope you can now swing like there is no tomorrow. Have a nice day. Peace.